Okay, we want to take a look at finding equations of the line. So we're going to use a couple different methods here. This first one is going to use the slope-intercept equation. And just as a review, that is the form y equals mx plus b, where m, that coefficient there in front of the x, is going to be our slope, and this b, whether it's positive or negative, is going to be the y value in our y-intercept 0b. Okay, so very simple one. A line has a slope of -7/9 and a y-intercept of 0.16. Find the equation. Well, it's just a matter of grab the numbers, plug them in, right? So our -7/9 is, of course, going to be m. And then we look here, in the y-intercept is 0b, so that means b is a positive 16. And we've got our equation, y equals -7/9 x plus 16. Let's make it just a little bit harder. What if we are told that a line has a slope of -2/3 and goes through the point -3/6? Now we're supposed to find the equation of that line. Okay, well, we have a slight problem because this point here is not a y-intercept, and I know that because my x is not 0. So that means that my 6 is not my b. I can't just grab that and plug it in. It'd be nice if I could, but I can't. All I can plug in right away is this -2/3. So this is my equation. Well, it's not quite finished. All right, now remember that if something is on a line, that means it works in the equation. So we're going to use this x and this y and plug them in, and we should be able to solve for b. So if you plug in the 6 for the y, the -3 for the x, our 3's cancel. That gives me a +2. Then we subtract and we find out that b is 4. Okay, now we got to take that and plug that back in up here. So our final answer would be y equals -2/3 x plus 4. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with solving them that way and think, okay, I got it, no big deal, I remember how to do that. I think it's a little tedious because I have to plug in and then solve and then plug in again. I'd rather just plug in once and be done. To do that, we're going to use this other form of the equation of a line. It's called the point-slope equation. And here it does still need the slope, m, but it uses any point x1, y1. Okay? And it's in this form, y minus the y1 equals m times x minus the x1. And we don't usually leave equations in this form for our final answers. We simplify it and make it y equals, but you know, it gets us there without having to substitute twice. All right, let's take a look at an example of using this. And this is going to be a little bit harder still because we're given just 2 points. They didn't even give us the slope this time. But we can do that. We know the slope is rise over run, or the change in my y, -4 minus 3, over the change in my x, 1 minus 2. Remember, go the same direction. Simplifying here, we got a negative divided by a negative, which we know is going to simplify to a +7. Okay, now which point do you use? Doesn't matter. So use whichever one you think looks easiest. I like to avoid negatives when I can, so I'm going to use the 2/3. Or excuse me, the 2/3. So I'm going to take this x and plug it into this equation up here for the x1, this 3 and plug it in up here for the y1, and this is what we come up with. Y minus 3 equals 7, that slope we just found, times x minus 2. Distribute your 7, add your 3 over, and our final answer there would be y equals 7x minus 11.